Hi, guys. It's time for another episode of PEBAheads. Is that what you wanted, Lenny?
Oh, that was so good. Why'd you stop?
They don't have to stop. We can just keep
Oh
going
no,
on.
keep going because I'm keeping this shit.
Yeah, just keep it going.
Wow.
We got a wide range of topics today. We're going to talk about some of the league modifier changes that were put in a couple sims ago. We're going to touch on some how important your home park factors are into building your team. Maybe even get into some speed, stolen bases, and running importance, and then kind of dive into the platoon situation on rosters with the righty lefty impact in your order. So, without further ado, we've got a full crew with us today. How's it going, gentlemen?
I'm alive.
Excellent.
Lenny looks thrilled.
Nothing from Lenny.
No, not nothing. Not nothing. You got this. Just waiting.
Just
Go
waiting,
ahead. Say something.
waiting for that one opportunity.
I'm gonna make it count. Just like Joe. Come on. Keep going.
I was gonna say you kind of have like the Eminem grunge look going. Like if Eminem were to go grunge.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
you have the
I can
same
see
look
that.
going, but without the beanie. Did you just make fun of the way I look when you're dressed almost exactly the same?
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Yes,
If
he
I
did.
had the Eminem grunge look, you have like the hipster Brooklyn look. Like
I was gonna say like
the
Bush
beard,
Light
the
drinking
bald head.
Midwesterner, but
What? Man, I'm not even drunk yet. Scott, it's good to see you.
Good to see you. I want to say that Sean and I met personally. How many days ago? Like 5 days ago?
yeah. Last week, what was it? Last
Tuesday? Wednesday?
Tuesday, Wednesday. So a week.
Wednesday? So this is how this went down. So in Slack, we had, I think it was just in our little personal Slack channel. Sean posted a picture of palm trees and I think pools and
The
some
pool
kind
and the beach.
some
Yeah.
kind of tropical theme. And while I was on the beach looking at it in Florida, and I said, "Oh, okay, I can contribute to this." And I posted a picture of the beach, and I happened to say in Destin, Florida, on family vacation. And Sean says, "So am I." And we found out we were, I think, 7 miles away from each other.
Hmm.
So we coordinated a meetup at a craft bar in Destin that took me me and my lovely wife drove about 7 minutes to get there. And we had a really good time with Sean and his fiance.
You know,
And
I'm looking through our Slack, the people had Slack thread. Are you sure this wasn't on Tinder? You guys found out that you were there?
it could have been, what, did you send it to just me? Or was it in the, because I can't remember where it was, but it was on Slack and I saw your picture and I posted mine.
I posted it in our chat.
Sounds a
I
little
know
bit
we
more
messaged
like
back and
Tinder,
forth.
y'all.
Well, we
You,
do chat
On
just
Tinder?
one-on-one, Sean and I, from time to time.
you guys posted it. Lenny's just pulling your chain. Come on,
On
man.
Facebook.
Because when Sean likes to complain about Lenny's terrible moves with regards to his horrible team, he just sends it to me because he doesn't want, like,
What are we screen sharing?
he doesn't want everybody to know.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there you go.
And you did share that.
See?
Very cute. Very cute.
All right,
Oh, never mind.
enough of the sidebar. But
Okay, so let's talk about a topic.
All right. Which
Oh.
one did I say we were going to do first? It was,
the new league
league
settings.
settings. Yeah.
So,
Michael, since you're on the board, can you give the brief
official.
rundown of
Fact checking ready.
What?
So before Michael starts, look, it has always been a little bit of a beef of mine that there are tweaks behind the scenes, right? And I get it. I think it's important that leagues do this, try to maintain some balance and some consistency. It's just I prefer there's a little bit more transparency when this stuff happens. And I know that there was a post, and I had to look for it because you, Mike, mentioned in Slack that it was, that someone was making some complaints, and eventually one of the members of the league posted these settings. But it was not easy to find. I had to do some searching. I would
Oh,
like to
I would
see,
I would blame Slack for that.
okay, I just would like to see that like in our forums or somewhere on the homepage so that at any time members of our league could easily see, where the settings are, because that's an important statistic that we need to know when we're trying to set up our teams. Like, how is this league set up? Where are where are the sliders set? And from what I could tell, it looked like that, doubles, triples, and home runs are tweaked slightly up, right?
Um, Normally, no. Everything's pretty consistent. The only thing that was slightly tweaked up, the only thing that they truly affected or altered was stolen bases were a little higher. Because we traditionally have been a running league. Um, so that is the one that is more or less slightly higher from a modifier perspective. Everything else is pretty much baseline. So if you screenshotted the information when it was talked about, I think a season ago after some people threw a fit.
That was the phrase that you used.
Yeah, because I'm still pretty peeved about that myself. But
I, I,
because
I,
the fog, I'm big on the fog of war. So this argument that it absolutely needs to be posted somewhere, I'm like, no, I've been here since 2009 season or 11 season, and it's never been posted anywhere.
no, but
Um,
Mike, the fog of war is a legitimate issue. It's just that there are people could who have access to the actual numbers, right? They could see the 0 to 250 stuff that I can't see. I don't have a problem with that because that is a necessity in any league. Now, I will mention to you that I joined this league specifically because the commissioner at the time did not manage a team. And it was one of the factors that brought me to this league, because having a commissioner who can see behind the wall, right? Who can see the real numbers, who doesn't have a vested interest in a team is an incredibly attractive proposal to me. We don't have that now. We got two, three.
two.
So we got two people in the league who have knowledge about the game that I do not have, that others do not have. Having said that, I can live with that. I just think that
There has to be a level of trust, though. I
yeah,
mean,
but if there's more transparency on the settings, Sean and I were talking about there's a page that you can link and show that
we don't
shows,
have that one.
but
You have to set up your settings a certain way to get that screen to pop up. We don't have that.
because that would be nice to see, right? You have to admit that seeing, the average doubles and the average homers and seeing the trending of our league from year to year could be beneficial to our members, to our general managers, to our, teams. I just want to level the playing field as much as we can, and as much information as we can share. I think we should share just for transparency's sake.
Those
Well, and I
numbers
think
are there in Stats Lab. If you just dig, you can
if
find
you
them.
go and do a bunch of calculations to
Oh
get them.
yeah,
For
but
my
you're
league, I use
gonna
those
arrive at
calculators.
the
Yeah,
what?
there's in my solo league when I first started before I met all of you lovely people. Um, I
How'd you do in that solo league there, Lenny?
well, you know what? Never mind.
It's just a question. It's not, you don't have to take it that way.
If
I'm
I
just
told
asking,
him, see,
I'm
if I
asking how
told
you
him
did.
where it was, if we go back a couple episodes where it was like baseball, Dungeons and Dragons, I was the puppet master of everyone. So I did rather well in my universe where everybody but you win because I like you. I like you a lot. You're my buddy. I used to adjust those because I didn't like where the homers. I like, what was it? 1990 was my favorite. Or yeah, when Ryan Sandberg hit 40, I was like, that's the kind of season I like. Good pitching, some homers. People like when Cecil Fielder popped off 51, and it was like, holy shit. Before the juice ball stuff and then the juice players. So I built that, but I started building this league with the idea of building it like MLB every year. We'd have a couple of expansion teams, all this stuff. So I would take the modifiers, divide them by 30, and then multiply them by 12 to get the correct amount for that team. Because if you just do the modifiers without doing that, you have 12 teams and everybody's hitting 5,000 home runs. So there's these adjustments. So Sean's right. You got to go in there and you got to do some math. And if I know something about this, that says something. Because I'm the lowest common denominator of intelligence around here. And yeah, so that there is math involved.
I think I get what you're saying, Michael, on the fog of war thing, but I think it shouldn't, for somebody that joins the league, they shouldn't have to wait multiple real life years to figure out what's valuable versus what's not. And I think some of the people that have been in the league for a long time forget that it's not as apparent to people that are just joining the league of what the value is. Like, and I think Dylan went way above what he really even needed to do with posting the actual modifiers, because I think the main point was like, what does, when you say we're cranking home runs up, what does that mean? Like, are we like league wide? Like, I was more, when I had a gripe about it, it was more, I want to know what right looks like. So if we're going to say league wide, it's 3,000 home runs. And then one year we have 3,500. Well, that doesn't look right. So maybe we need to look into what the modifier is. Like, figure out what your percent error is and figure out if it's within that range and go from there. And he took it to the other step of just posting the whole modifiers, which I think probably was a little bit too far, but it's out there now. So,
Well, and the leagues, the AI is built to evolve
yeah.
to do that. And sometimes I think maybe what we're seeing is like sometimes it goes so far that it's like baseball now. Like, how are you supposed to compare what's happening in baseball now to what happened before in the juice ball era? Like, how does a game understand factors that real life, some like the freaking garage door and the throwing the baseball at the girlfriend shit. Like, that's out of but this is the same version of that. How smart is the game really? Now, the next response will have nothing to do with what I just said, and that's just purely a parenthetical of bloody bullshit. So go ahead, next topic.
I guess the question moving forward is, what do we with the changes? Yeah, how do we even move forward after this? But
are we going back to your story about your pitcher who got suspended? I'm
It
confused.
sounds like that's where we're
I'm
going.
saying, how smart is a game that can, because once you've gone to a garage door opener, how do you know how to balance back home runs?
Well, from my understanding, we use the same data every year. The modifiers weren't supposed to be adjusted. That was the problem. 25 did something extra and changed the timing of when everything was done. And I think it just went unnoticed because no one's sitting there looking at this stuff all the time. No one's trying to get an advantage and sitting there and staring at these numbers and doing all this stuff. So it was supposed to be working one way, the way it always historically worked, and the game went and did its own thing and just changed everything drastically on us unexpectedly. So that was kind of the problem. So the tweaks were just trying to align it back to normal of what it's always been the past however many seasons.
Yeah, because it really was like the double whammy of it, because you had the ratings changes and then the modifier on top of it. So then you're not only just changing like individual players and how they perform, then you're having the modifier part on it. So kudos to the board for doing something about it rather than waiting the
Yeah,
whole entire season and then do something about it.
I think Dylan tried to explain it the best he could, because it was somewhat complex. But at the end of the day, it's on top of all of that. To your point, it's the ratings changes just in OOTP and in general. I mean, we saw all this before there was any rating or modifier adjustments or fiasco or anything, when we were just still like, still in the other season looking at version 25, saying what our guys are going to be like. You could already see that there was going to be differences. You could already see that like Joe Riley was going to be crap and Pablo Ortiz was still going to be amazing. And but um, it was. I think the bigger impact itself is the ratings piece, because that's harder to kind of really follow and explain and understand, because what the game did to older version players versus what it's doing to newer version players seems different. Guys coming in the draft seem more appealing. They seem more appealing than
Those international free agents, I was like, holy.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
they look.
no, that's a good question. So the draft players for sure seem more developed, right?
Yeah.
Do we think this is a one-off, or do we think this is a version change where you've got 18-year-olds who have very small gaps between their potential and their actual?
Yeah.
I
A
think
lot of
this
them.
is more OOTP 25 and kind of what we have in store.
Okay.
And the less of that was like a version change thing. I think it's truly this is the
Because
new
we
engine.
would have like a one actual in say contact and a 9 actual in potential in previous versions, where I saw 18-year-olds in this draft who,
They were almost ready.
yeah,
On
like
my
I'm
team
like,
could have been
yeah, I'm
the
looking at that
star.
guy, I'm like, that dude could start on my team.
No.
Like now at 18.
Yeah,
Is
my first round pick could be on my team right now
yes.
without even going to AAA.
And that was a lot more rare before.
Yeah.
Like I had a 7th round pick who is already up in, I think I put him right into AAA. He's near ready.
I look, I posted on Slack. I have an 8th round pick who has become my number one prospect, according to my scout.
Yep.
An 8th round pick in this draft leapfrogged all of my players.
Yeah.
Now
Catcher, Randall Dunn.
that cannot last. I'm guessing he's gonna collapse in the ratings, but as of this recent, sim, my number one prospect is Jose Ramos, picked 234th in the 2041 draft. He's listed as my number one prospect. He
Yeah,
leapfrogged.
there's something massively off, because it's
Yeah,
like that if you go through every team.
I assumed that was some kind of anomaly that's going to get corrected as sims happen, but it was like, what the hell,
Yeah.
And it's not just him. There was another guy. I think I've got like my third best prospect is, like a 10th round pick from this draft. It just, the whole thing seemed, this draft seemed really off compared to other drafts for me.
I
Was
don't know
I
if
the only one who experienced that?
I don't think it was the draft. Sorry to cut you off there, Lenny.
You're fine.
I truly think it's just there's I I
It's
don't know how to explain it.
It's
It's
25.
just it's to me it's just 2020 or the version 25.
Okay. I can live with that, right? Because
The piece I fear though is like yeah, is it the new normal? And if it's the new normal, then everyone adjusts to it, and that's fine. But it's like it also makes me wonder about the feeder leagues. Like, is it something that needs to be looked into more? Like, so if you're having just, I mean, if this is the way it's going to be, it's the way it's going to be. But there's going to be a lot of teams with young prospects now that are probably never going to ever develop. And then you're going to have these guys come in where I don't know. It's probably a whole another topic that you could get into, but I know Dylan looks at that type of stuff, so he's probably already
All I
already
know
looking.
is that on paper, everything went to hell. But in actuality, they're all playing my prospects. The fiery hell that is my PEBA team, that is the sliders. I know that for sure. We'll just do it. I mean, I'm bad at this game. I'm not that bad at this game. However, they are performing finally better than they ever have. For the most part. So they're almost performing like they were their old selves, and now they're like, ah, we're shitty. So, I mean, does 3 mean more than 4 or than it used to? Like, I can't pinpoint. There is no right on this. I just can't guess anything. So, other than 5 and 2 with the new sliders, so something is right.
Maybe that's all that you needed.
I actually have realized over time that I provide nothing to this other than like fodder. Like, I need to be here like once a month so that you guys have something to make fun of when I'm not.
Someone to kick. We need someone to kick.
Nah, kick away.
Not at all, Lenny. You definitely bring something to the table.
I make it not boring.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about some of your draft picks right now?
Yeah,
I think they're amazing.
let's show Lenny some love. Let's scrap everything and do a Lenny
Ooh,
episode.
Lenny's
let's spend 30 minutes on why Lenny is the best GM that does not get enough respect. He's the Rodney Dangerfield.
Here we go. My favorite is
respect.
Almost time to start rebuilding, Lenny. Rebuilding. All my guys are 23 years old.
What are you talking?
I looked at your team today.
You got 38-year-old Francisco Rodriguez.
I'm like, he's got some good young players on this team.
40-year-old Pedro Rodriguez.
Look, I signed.
Where's all these 23-year-olds? What are you talking? 39-year-old Pat Wilson or Watson?
No, I looked at him today. He's got some good young players on his team.
You just stop talking so I can explain. Okay, thank you. All these young guys, because there are some, needed some leadership, right? So I hired a bunch of old folks to come in, do some stuff for 1 year, and teach them how to do it whatever way they're teaching them.
All right. He's got some old guys, but look, he's got a 22-year-old, a 23-year-old, another 23-year-old, another. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 25-year-olds on his 26-man roster. He's got a few old guys, but he's got a roster that's got a chunk of 20-some-year-olds. And as far as 30 and older on his 26-man roster, 1, 2.
You're looking at my team or my dating profile?
4, 5, 6. He's got 7 people on his 26-man roster who are 30 or older. That's not ridiculous, right?
No.
You want to balance. And when I was looking at
once again, are we talking about his dating profile or his team?
No, I am only talking about his team. I don't hate Lenny's team. I just think that he needs, to leapfrog.
I love how we've already talked to hockey like I'm not even here.
So what does it take to win? Like, how do you so we've talked about this in the past, and I think it's a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
Is the win for a while, tear down, fire sale, lose for 3 or 4 seasons, draft, and then try and build it back up again versus the try to sustain a winning team over a long period of time. I had a conversation with one of the Vales, can't remember which one, in person.
There's so
And
many.
and
Who keeps reading the Whales after midnight? Okay.
I know their last names. Sometimes I forget their first names, but
Of course you know the last. They got one last name. Come on, man.
he's a big fan of maintaining that winning strategy, because doing the cycle thing that I used to think was so much fun, right? Winning for picking a window of opportunity where you can win for, say, and by win, I mean, you might not make the playoffs every year, but you're competitive and you're going to make the playoffs a number of those years, but you've got a window of opportunity where you've got these players that you've drafted. Then you pepper in these free agents, right? And you've got this 4 or 5 year season window of either making the playoffs or being a legitimate shot at the playoffs. And then you just sell everything off and you tear it down and you suck for 3 or 4 years and then you do it all again, right? There's just this whole wave thing. And then there's the philosophy that says that is a terrible idea, that you should try to sustain winning consistently for long periods of time. I think it's hard to do. Do you guys have an opinion on one philosophy versus the other? Do you think that it is a realistic philosophy to say, no, I'm not ever going to lose 100 games. I'm going to win 80, 90 games a year forever?
I will say something quickly, and I do believe it brings something to the table.
All right.
I have tried both, and neither have worked.
I've done the cyclical thing pretty successfully, and it's been a strategy for me. But I've been reading recently, and Sean knows where I'm coming from on this one, is I've been reading about how it might be a better strategy to say, no, I'm not going to have 100-loss season or 300-loss seasons. I'm going to consistently win. I might have a 90 or an 89 win season, but then I'm going to have a 95 or a 97 win season. Is it possible to never suck in a out of the park baseball league that's as competitive as PEBA is?
Yeah, that last sentence is the biggie.
No, I agree. I think our league
is competitive.
Look, again, I'm 54 years old and I've been playing in these leagues, online leagues since 2000. So 24 years. And I would say that this is the most competitive league. And I think I played in, Sean, the Monte Brusto, I played in that league.
You did?
Oh, yeah. So having said that, I think I've played in something like 12. I was trying to count them up today. Something like 12 different leagues. And I'm only in 2 leagues now, but I've done this a lot. So it's not like I'm inexperienced. I'm just not as good as some of the people that I play with in PEBA. I would clearly tell you there are GMs, some of them on this podcast, not including Lenny, who are better than me at this game. But, I've done it for a while, so I have some experience in this area. And I'd say it's hard to do that.
So Lenny,
I thought we were supposed to kick you, Lenny.
I'm not going to argue with him. I mean, because when he was in the league with Jesus, he gave Jesus the run for his money.
She's old as fuck.
Gosh. And see how that turned out, Jesus?
I think a lot of it, though, it comes down to, a wise country music artist once said, you you got to know when to hold them and you got to know when to fold them.
Jesus.
I love it. Kenny
Jesus.
Rogers. All right.
John
So,
Clyde
but where I'm going
versus
with that
seven
is
through
like,
eight.
if you're going to have a long run of sustained success, you're going to have to get rid of players before other teams are going to be willing to generally get rid of them. You can't, and I know we all talk about it all the time about you get attached to players, and if you're going to keep a long window opening, you got to get rid of those guys before they become too expensive and turn them into future assets and keep. If you're like a very active trader and like that type of thing, and I know both Dan and Kevin like to trade, so it doesn't surprise me that that would be something that I think Kevin especially has
I think,
been
yeah,
successful in the league for a long
I think
time.
that's why I've favored the cyclical aspect of winning is because I don't like to trade. Like if you give me the choice between trading and not trading, I choose not trading.
Okay.
I recoil from the typical trades in that it always seems like I'm getting GMs asking for my best prospect or my best player, and they're offering me garbage,
Yeah.
like right out of the gate. And it just sours me on the whole thing. And that's probably just
Yep.
like their opening salvo, and they're just like they need to do that as a starting point. But it's like, no, you're ruining the whole prospect for me. And now I'm like, screw it. I'm not trading this guy. I don't care who you offer for him. We're done because of your opening salvo was so distasteful to me. That happens like 70% of the time.
And we talked about this. And the only time I've ever traded a big name player before they were done was the Mata trade. But that's when Jay was running Florida. And a week before, I got a GM coming at me telling me Mata's all washed up. And why did I hold them that long? And so here, you can have my 8 7th rounders. And I'm like, get out of here. And
Remember
then
when I tried to trade for him?
with Jay, it didn't work out because Machado decided he doesn't like to hit the ball anymore. But that's my team doing that, or the game doing that. Not the trade was a good trade. I got so much for him. And
Remember when I tried to trade for him and you said no, and then like a week later you traded him to somebody else?
yeah, and you know what? I got my comeuppance on that, right?
I don't
Was
remember
Don
my package.
was Don Washington part of that package?
You're lucky that you're not on camera right now.
It actually won't let me go back on camera.
Well, thank God.
Bam! I'm back. Look at that. See the pretty face?
Since Michael's back, let's switch to the home park factor.
Thank God, a segue.
Oh, we're gonna still hammer Bakersfield with this one. There's
I need to build a
No,
stadium.
this is good. No,
I
Yeah.
might as well be the Oakland A's, man.
how often do you guys look at your park factors, right? So half your games are played in your home park, right? And all of our parks are unique, right? I looked at mine the other day, and I'll admit that I don't look at mine as often as I should, in that right-handed hitters, specifically right-handed power hitters, get crushed in my park. And oh no, I'm sorry, left-handed hitters. Oof. Left-handed hitters and left-handed power hitters get crushed in my park, and I don't necessarily use that information as often as I should, right? Do you guys build your teams around your park factors, or do you?
After
I don't-
Don said Bakersfield, where hitters go to die.
So, like, here's a good example. There's a specific player named Joe. I forget his last name. He doesn't get mentioned enough on this podcast for me to remember his last name. But how do his ratings correlate with Bakerfield's park factors?
Not helping things.
That's a you question, Lenny.
I will tell you this. My park factors have no bearing on Joe Riley.
I'm looking at yours right now,
Well, then
and
look at it.
yours,
I'm looking at you.
you have a pitcher's park,
Oh, I know.
like definitely. So overall average 0.869. That's
Lowest in the league.
your
Shocking.
left-handed batting average is 0.851. Your right-handed batting average is 0.879. So
Lowest in the league.
these, so as far as players who are going to get hits, you should be focusing on
Oh,
pitchers. You should be a pitching and defensive team, and hitting should be secondary for you. Now, I will say this on doubles, you're 1.009, and on triples, you're 1.156. So fast gap hitters should be the people you look for as
go to
far
my
as
team and look what I'm doing, and that's who I'm trying to get.
all right.
I have
As far
built
as home runs, your home runs like
don't
over,
exist. The last
yeah,
time since Ortega left and Pat Berry before him, no one I think has hit 25.
yeah. No, you should not be seeking out home run
You
hitters.
know, you should not be.
If again, if the goal, and this is the question I have for you guys, if the goal is to tailor your team to your park, because you're still going to be playing half of your games in other parks. So, how much, back to the original question, how much do you tailor your team to your park factors?
I am now tailoring it completely back to pitching. And only because I don't have any other choice. So it's gap hitting. I looked at that nonstop, and pitching and defense and speed. And I did all the things that my manager will let me do to crank up stolen bases. That's why everybody's pretty fast. Everybody's pretty decent at defense and F power hitters. They just don't do anything, which is why Menendez is doing well, but no one else is. But it's coming. And the pitchers are doing way better than I thought, the young guys.
So, Lenny, I think your problem is just that you just need to let this ride. I think it's going
I
to come.
am letting it ride. I have, the
I,
guy over here with the hair telling me, time to fire sale, and then
Ooh.
no, that was actually Scott. I can't I can't keep you guys straight. You're all just bored. And
The guy with
fire
the
sale,
hair.
fire sale what?
There's
What?
nothing
All my
left.
young prospects? Like, I can't get younger. What do you want me to put toddlers out there?
no, I looked at your team today, and I think you're on the right path.
I'm on the right track. And I said that. I'll take Flores. You could kiss
I
my ass, take Flores.
I agree.
You can take my flip flop before you take Flores.
Well, I think that to further expand on this, Lenny.
Hey, oh, great, Lenny. Why?
No, no,
This
no. I
is
think
the U podcast. Come on.
so. The other aspect of it is you got 81 games in your park, and then yeah, you got the other 81 in other parks.
Yeah,
But
I
I
know where
think
you're
that
going with this. They suck there too.
no, but I think the other part of it is it's important to look at what your division parks are also set up like because there might be two or three that are similar to yours. So then it's even more than 81 games that you're playing that are that type of environment, or it could be opposite. Maybe it's you're the only pitching one in your division. But I mean, if we look at some of the teams in your division, it looks like, let's see, trying to think of who all the teams are in your division. Palm Springs looks like it's a pitcher's park.
Yeah,
Aurora is a pitcher's park.
they all are.
Yuma's a pitcher's park.
I'm not.
Scott's
Yeah,
is
I'm
a
not.
hitter's park.
Well, I'm not a super hitter's park, but I'm probably more than the rest of them.
I mean, park
So,
factor wise, you're like top, let's see, one, two, three, like top eight.
Oh, really?
Pretty good. Yeah. But I mean, let's see, what's Tempe? Tempe's about in the middle. So yeah, I mean, I mean, you go that way, Lenny, you're setting yourself up for should be success if you're
Yeah.
going with that route, because
No.
most of the teams you're going to be playing have that same or similar park, not as drastic, but
So Sean and I have
If I
discussed this in the
inherited,
past.
the Hall of Famer, and Ortega will probably be one too, but I don't know. I inherited two really, really good power hitters that would hit anywhere, so it doesn't matter. Go ahead.
I think some of the biggest problems are when teams commit to a strategy and they're doing well with that strategy, but they deviate because it's not working fast enough. And I think that's a problem. I think that picking a strategy, thinking about it, working through it and committing to it, and then giving it 3, 4, 5 seasons to don't if it's not working fast enough, if you switch strategies every couple seasons, you're gonna fail a lot.
Yeah. And that actually, so just so everybody knows that I kind of know what I'm doing. Like, I do think that. I do think that I have laid out the right team for my park now, and I have built it that all the older guys that were making fun of them, like they have their person coming in behind them that are built to be better than the person that they're taking over for. And, everybody gets a dud now and then, but it's there. And if it doesn't work, and it won't, but if I can see where it should work, and if it doesn't, then it's the sliders. And I'll talk to Dylan.
I don't know. I liked your draft.
My draft was very good. I was very happy. I had an issue picking the first guy because he's not a hard thrower. Can't remember his name right now.
Coronado.
Yeah, Coronado. But work ethic. There you go, Scott. And it literally
adaptability.
He's freaking adaptability, and he's Kyle Hendricks or Charlie Huff.
He's low financial ambition, so you can sign him for cheap.
Sounds like my date last night.
So
who's
Michael?
Who's the light at the end of the Joe Riley tunnel?
Tim Alexander.
Yeah, I think so. Alexander's there. You
got like 4 seasons still, so it's okay.
You know what? I know. The light at the end of the Joe Riley tunnel is the last thing you see on the planet.
So you're saying he's available?
Yeah, he's available.
Michael, I could turn your season around. Reuniting with Joe Riley.
You know what?
Hey, if he comes back and hits 49 home runs the way that guy in Arlington who can't hit for shit is hitting massive amounts of home runs, why not, right?
I am the Chicago Cubs. Somebody will grab him for some stupid reason. I'll eat half his salary, and then they'll hit 38 home runs because he's not in Bakersfield anymore.
Oh, I see he's injured right now.
You're injured.
I see you're not going to be able to trade him.
Yeah.
Got to keep him healthy. Maybe don't play him so much or something. Platoon him.
You know what it is? It's the weight of the team on his shoulders. He's brought his back.
I mean, he can't get much worse than 152.
Thanks, I know this.
Speaking of platooning, look at that.
Yes.
We'll jump right into another.
Like a mother.
We will jump right into another topic.
But I am the platoon king. Willem Dafoe. Boom, 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 boom. Get it?
We did talk about it a little briefly just in our own chat. Oh, look at that. I had a good sim. Woo.
You downloaded while we were doing this?
You can't stop me. It's all good.
I'm downloading now, you mother.
Before we, because I know we're all going to do it. Should we go to commercial now before we talk about platooning?
Yes, I need a drink. I am way too sober.
And we need to pay the bills. And let's talk. We'll go to Arlington. That we'll go. We'll see what's going on in Arlington and pay the bills there.
There we go.
It's gonna be a steroid commercial.
All right.
Let's see in a second.
What are you waiting for? It's wet. It's wild. It's the sizzling summer of 1990. At America's largest water park, Wet and Wild Arlington.
We're back, and hopefully we've learned a little bit more about the Arlington area people there and what makes Justin Justin.
There's something in the water. All right, what are we talking about? Platooning.
Hey, we'll see if Justin is one of the dozens that listens to this podcast.
The dozens.
We should do Justin.
It's not plural. It is not plural.
It is
Oh,
dozens.
we've gotten more than 12 views. It's closer to the
That's
12,
just us watching
24
ourselves
range.
over and over again.
Yeah, it's not plural. Plural would be 30 something. 36, 48. It is
24, as long as it's 24 or higher.
I got 3 friends that just ask how drunk we got, and then they'll watch.
to Lenny's
Cheers.
friends. To Lenny's friends.
Yes.
Dozens of them. All right.
We're still waiting for that MLB network hookup.
Oh, you want Ellen to come on?
Yeah,
Ellen, come
why
on.
not?
Yeah. Ellen will come on. I'll ask her. Yeah, let me see.
He's going to do it right now.
Yeah. All right,
Anyway,
let's
let's do the last topic here that we wanted to touch on the righty-lefty platooning, how much we do it, thoughts on it, and kind of go from there. I know, Scott, we've talked about it in the past, and I think both you and I have successfully implemented it in certain situations. I know, like for me, and one of Michael's points that he's made in the past is that elite players, regardless of what their ratings are, still do well enough against the opposite platoon that it makes no sense to platoon them. I've seen that happen in the past, but sometimes I'm a little weary of it because the sample size is often smaller. So if you're a lefty power hitter, you're not really going up against that many lefty pitchers in the league because there's just not that many of them. So you might have a small sample size where it looks good, but I'm more apprehensive over the long haul because I think in the game it only shows you your splits for the current season. It doesn't show you your like career splits.
No, it'll show. So I'm looking at, so I got a guy named Harrison Neame, Neame. So this is a right-handed outfielder, corner outfielder that I drafted, and I use him exclusively as a batter against left-handed pitching. So right now I'm looking at his 2039 stats, his 2040 stats, and his 2041 stats, right? So it shows him I think it speaks to your point, Sean, in that he's got 54 at bats the entire season in 2039 against left-handed pitchers. He's got 68 at bats against left-handed pitchers in 2040, but this year, which I've exclusively used him as a platoon hitter, he's got 78 already. So you could theoretically, I mean, what are we halfway through?
Yeah.
You could get, almost 200 at bats out of this guy if you wanted to exclusively use somebody as a platoon hitter. And the problem that I've seen is that I don't think, from what minimal sample size, from what I've seen, the ratings versus righty lefty don't seem to correlate enough versus the actual batting statistics. So I get these guys who have they're good against righties or good against lefties, and then you put them in there platoon wise, and they just don't seem to produce like their ratings say they should. And I don't know if there's something in the software.
Do you
I
think
never,
it's not enough consistent playing time?
yeah, I never do a straight platoon where it says if starter tired on each one. I have the person who should be dominating the playing time. Um, I won't have them starting, but I have them coming in like every third game, so they'll get more lefties or righties, whatever it is. So I think do I have one right now? No. Oh, I do have DH, but that doesn't count.
I know I've used them more so when I'm a team that is cash strapped and I'm trying to get value for cheap. So, for example, like there could be a first baseman that hits lefties really well that might not hit right-handed pitching as well to garner enough at bats. Well, the league might look at that first baseman as, well, I don't want that guy. So that's a guy that when I was trying to build up, I would kind of maybe target as, hey, if I can get him at like league minimum or sign him on a minor league deal and see what happens, I'd do it. Or if, like a corner outfielder that you might have a lefty hitting corner outfielder that sucks really bad against left-handed pitching, you can find a righty that maybe can be a power hitter, the opposite side of it, you do it. But it was more when I used to do it more, it was more based on trying to maximize the budget that I had at that time versus trying to get a true competitive advantage by doing it. Because I think if a player is good enough, like I have my first baseman, Rob Woodard, he definitely has splits, but it's not enough for me to bench him against left-handed pitching. Like the fall off is there, but it's like I'm not gonna take his bat out of the lineup because as soon as that lefty gets out, you're most likely facing guys in the bullpen that are righties. But yeah, I mean, like for him, he plays every day mostly, but there's definitely like a 30-point drop off, roughly an average, and then on base percentage, it's almost a 60-point drop off there. Well, actually over 60, but it's still, I mean, it's not like I'm not going to bench him, but because I'm also paying him too. That's the other aspect of it. But one other thing, though, that I think is not talked about enough is platoons can be a way to give your star players a day off against the side that they struggle against. So you might, like you were saying, Lenny, you'll have your star player in your lineup, but you'll have that platoon guy to come in every 3 days against left-handed pitching. So then it does give that guy a day off.
Yeah.
Against the side that he might struggle against more.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. Just to make sure that star, not even the star player, but like if one is clearly better than the other, and or if he's young, like Romano right now, for some reason decided they all suck, but he would decide he would be better than the expensive player. So, but before I would put him in to get more at bats, and whoever the dominant player is, I will have come in, even though they're platooning the starting lineup, I will still feed over the better of the two to get at bats against the other side, the weaker side.
So, because like I
ahead.
think even like on your team, Lenny, Pat Watson kind of fits that mold where he has a little bit more power, a lot more eye, and his contact and gap are higher against right-handed pitching. So you definitely want him in against righties, but then a lefty, it's like
he just came back from injury, so I haven't had a chance to see if he's going to just do something. Like all those guys I signed are there for leadership, right? Even Rodriguez, the platoon with Taka, I didn't need to sign him, but for 1 year at $6 million, why not? It'll increase fan interest or whatever. But the Watson, I just wanted a couple more weeks to see what he's going to do for real. And then because what's his name? Just look. My left fielder, I think, is a better center fielder than he is. And then I can get Romano in more too. what's his name? Menendez is the only one doing anything. But yeah, they're there, and I'm just waiting to see what Watson does because Alan Davis got picked up off of waivers. So I had too many of everything. So that's the long way of saying Watson's probably going to be that backup guy for everybody. So that's it.
Scott, what are some of your thoughts on this stuff? How have you handled it?
So I've done some exclusive righty lefty splits, but the problem is I don't see that I've seen a lot of results from it. Like I've got a couple of outfielders that I utilize on a lefty righty situation. I've got my third baseman, Morimoto. He can't hit, lefties to save his life, but his stats are not terrible. I mean, he's way better against righties, but in actuality, I'm not sure he's all that awful against them. So sometimes I think that we overthink these things, and maybe there's something in the engine that kind of negates the whole lefty righty thing.
I'm trying to think in the majors, like in the real world, how many true platoons worked where you can combine them into an all-star? And I can't think of many. I can't think of any right now. But
I think going back to your old Cubs days, it would be like the guys where you would use like a super utility guy like Ben Zobrist, where he could play multiple positions
yeah, Chris
and
Bryant.
give multiple guys the day off, where it tends to work better in real life.
There's that. That's a good example. That there was guys that could play a lot more places.
I
But
think
like
in like the 90s, there was more of it than what
they did
you'd
that
see.
more. But
Yeah.
who's the
So it
all-star?
seems like having a left-handed batter as a utility infielder
Mhm.
and a right-handed batter as a utility outfielder can be very beneficial, right?
Yeah.
Because you're countering the dominance for those
Yeah.
positions.
Yep.
But going strict platoon thing, I don't think necessarily gives you an advantage.
I don't think so. I can't.
There's only like one guy that I really do it with, I think, with the platooning on here, and I have an outfielder, Yoshi Inui, who primarily only bats against left-handed pitching, but it's working for me with him, but it's more so to give guys days off, and
Yeah.
that's why it's more of that type of thing. And then just like you said, Scott, he's a right-handed hitting outfielder that can give my lefty outfielders a day
I
off.
think having a right-handed hitting outfielder who can play all three outfield positions and having a left-hand hitting infielder who can play all three positions can be very beneficial. Beyond that, I don't think it matters.
Yeah. Well, and to your point, I just pulled Yoshi's stats up, and he's hitting right-handed pitching way better than left-handing, and even though his ratings are one way or the other. So, yeah, small sample size, but there's something to it. Yeah.
Because you think on paper there would be all these, players that would combine into this all-star stat. But I think it's just because you see it with obviously pitching, the specialists that come in and they'll literally sub back and forth, right? That they'll put the shut down lefty in and they'll switch it to a right-handed hitter. And then they'll do it with the pitchers, but that hitter doesn't bounce back and forth. So
but before we finish, with the league settings that we've seen, do you guys think that there's anything that you will adjust in your player evaluation when it comes to trying to compete in this league, do you think that, will, like, as an example, would speed and doubles hitters be more valuable to you going forward, knowing what you know about the league settings?
I think you can't ignore things you know. Like talking about ballparks, right? Talking about the, the modifiers for us, and in the real world, what would be, the generational gaps when things are different that make the league different. I mean, I know when we uploaded 25 and I looked at everything and I went, oh my God, all the work I've done. I started to pay attention less to the stars and more to the stats. And until I can crack the code in terms of the algorithms behind in the matrix of OOTP, I'm going to go, if they're hitting well, they get to play. They get to move up. If they're not hitting, they don't. So I could sit here and go, well, he's a 7, but you know who else is a 7? That 1-star guy that isn't meant to even make PEBA. It's all a wash. If they're hitting, put them up. If they're not, put them down. Corbin Taylor could hits the shit out of the ball in AAA. Second he sees anything in PEBA, just pees himself. So if you hit, you stay. If you pitch, you stay. If you don't, you go. And it's working so well for me. Polishing off my, trophy case. Wait, I don't have one.
I did figure out I can do custom trophies now. So
what's that?
I did figure out I can do custom trophies and plaques now. So
well, shit the bed. Let's get one of those and mail it to each other, whoever wins.
I kind of leaning that way. You got to figure out how to
like it. I like it.
Got to look into it some more, figure out how we do that. But there's a tease for our dozens or a dozen listeners.
1 dozen.
Yeah.
Well, Mike's not here. And since I edit these things when I'm not, let's talk some smack.
Oh.
His hair is too good.
It's fake. It's gotta be fake.
And he can hear this. And that new apartment, his job ain't that good to get that. So what's he selling on the side?
It's not an apartment, Lenny. It's a house.
Yeah, well, exactly. Would he get a big boy job? I don't
Maybe
know.
he's been saving his money up for years. Yeah.
Anyway.
Hey, his commute time, like he's out of the city now. Maybe he's saving money that way.
Domestication.
Yeah.
Never.
What's that?
Well, what time is it? 10:47 Eastern. Joe Riley usually calls the bitch at 11. So I got Joe Riley in 13 minutes. So I need to slam a couple beers before I have to, field his call. Anything else before we say goodbye to our...
No, it was good to get the whole band back together.
Yeah, we've been off for a while.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on. Moves and I did a whole play.
I'm still in first place.
That's real good.
You're still in first place in my heart as well.
Tempe is 1.5 behind, and Aurora is 6 behind.
How many am I behind? Am I making my move yet?
You're only 20.5 behind.
See, I told you.
He's right. You're 20.
I am in striking distance.
Hey, you've won 6 out of your last 10.
You're nipping at my heels.
Oh, if you can't feel the breath on the back of your fin, look out.
Nipping at my heels.
We are simply hibernating. And when we come forth, there will be a reckoning, the likes of which none of you have seen.
Are the Bakersfield Bears like a butterfly, just like gonna come out of that cocoon.
Yeah, they're like a butterfly, but like with like 3 Uzis and 2 samurai swords, all right?
Lenny, if you overtake me and win the division, I will
year?
do a bow down to you.
This year,
Yes.
to the dozens of people watching.
Dozen.
Dozen people watching.
The dozen.
Call me. I will sell anything for your best players. And let's talk. Rena going down. No, you're saying like you just have to finish lower in the standings.
Yes.
That's going to take a lot.
Yeah, whoosh. Negative Nancy, stop that.
You have a 274 winning percentage right now.
You know what? I find that flattering. I'm glad that you could tell I work hard.
So hard. The next lowest team has a 317 winning percentage.
Who is that?
Paul Springs. Another shocking.
Yeah, see? We're not that bad. Maybe we should look at our stadiums.
Hey, maybe we should next time look at the future draft pool and see like what pitchers you could target with the number 1 overall pick.
Confession. I was, peeing, and I heard a ping on my phone, and I went, oh, and I look over, and it's like draft day. So yeah.
So you're really prepared for this last draft.
And Bob, I'm sorry it took 8 minutes to get that pick, but I worked hard for that 4 slot. So I got a good pick. He's a good pitcher. So,
and to be fair, I mean, most of that 8 minutes was you waiting for some other things to get settled in the draft.
Oh, and in the bathroom as well. It takes some time.
All right, guys.
Yeah, that's a good place. All right, thank you. I adore all
See
of
ya.
you.
All right, bye.